In my latest book, Supply Chain Ethics, I deal with what's been called the triple advantage, how companies can bring a focus on supply chain ethics, environmental and profitability as a way of creating their sustainability. A focus only on all three will create what we call competitive companies in the future. So Nigel, if I first come to you, how does this concept fit with operational advantage?
I think it dovetails in perfectly, actually, and I entirely agree with you that certainly in the long term you have to get all three of those elements both in line with what you're trying to do as an organisation, but also compatible with each other as well. And that's the issue, I think, for operations people. How do you manage the interface between and the relationship between those three elements of how you judge your own performance? Operations is not just only about operational issues, but it's largely about operational issues. And there is a big gap, I think, between how companies treat those three issues at the level of the corporate report and how they actually work on the ground. And that's where operations has a role to play, to make sure that we both translate what the report, what strategically the organisation wants to do, but also refine what those three things mean by making it work on the ground.
And Alan, coming to you, do you firstly agree with this idea of a triple advantage? And if so, how can that be integrated into a super competitor's strategy?
I call it the triple bottom line. I know there are a number of different terms. So people, planet, and profit is the sort of slogan that I use. And the observation of super competitors is that the customers will not, in the long term, accept brands that don't perform, as it were, in the environmental and social fields, as well as obviously customer value and profit. The discovery, I think, from our book was that the triple bottom line, the environmental and social, is a qualifier rather than a ticket to being a super performer. So and slightly perversely, customers don't seem to apply their pressure on companies evenly. So recent episodes with Apple at Foxconn have not damaged the brand. Recent episodes with global sourcing of clothing have not damaged some of those brands, but other brands with, for example, food security issues have been almost instantly damaged and put out of business. So in the long term, as Nigel says, it's an absolute precondition for sustained super performance. In the short term, the way that the marketplace and society judges is not always as even, but it's a really important thing.
And I think, like a lot of, as you say, like a lot of qualifiers or hygiene factors, get it wrong, and it can be far more damaging than getting something that you're actually going ahead with wrong that's a prime concern to you. So it's one of those funny, almost cliff edge issues, the ethical and the sustainability issues, that you can walk along that cliff edge, but unless you actually have invested in ethics, sustainability, environmental issues, you can easily fall off it as well.
The cliff would crumble.
The cliff indeed would crumble.